Welcome to the Atlanta Gladiators Podcast, your go-to destination for everything Gladiators. Twice a month, live from the Business RadioX studios at the Gas South Convention Center. Play-by-play broadcaster Liam Gotimer will interview a Gladiator about his journey to professional hockey. This week, we're proud to highlight number 33 Michael Marchesan, the second-year pro that has quickly become a fan favorite in Atlanta. So sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 59 of the Atlanta Gladiators Podcast. Hello, Glads fans, and welcome back to the Atlanta Gladiators Podcast. I am your host, Liam Gotimer, and today I am pleased to be joined by Gladiator forward number 33, Michael Marchesan. Marshy, thank you for taking the time today.
No, thank you for having me.
Cool. I want to get into your journey to professional hockey, but let's start off talking about the club. The team enters Friday's game against South Carolina with a record of 14, 13, 3-1, winners of 7 of their last 10. What's been going well?
I think we just all bought into the way we play, and we play like a consistent, keep coming at you kind of game. And like when we get away from that, especially as he was saying too, on 3-3s, like you play with your heart over your brain sometimes, and it doesn't turn out well. But I think when we play with our brain, we play to our systems, it works well. And obviously, last 7 out of 10. Right. It's been going well.
And it hasn't just been these last 10 games, right? It's been since the start of the season. It just seemed like early on there was a lot of one-goal games, a lot of overtime decisions, shootout games where you guys just didn't come out on top. Now it seems like it's all coming together for y'all.
Exactly, yeah. We knew like we were right there. Like we'd lose comeback games to Florida, like that one in the school day game. That was a heartbreaker, but we're right there. We're beating them the whole entire game. Like we know we can win anyone in this league.
You scored that morning?
Yeah, I did. Nice little tip.
Yep. Cool. So let's go all the way back when you were growing up in Burlington, Ontario. How did you first get involved with the game?
My dad. So he played growing up and he played in university. And we would just go on the ponds around and play. And I would watch it growing up, play mini sticks or whatever with him. And we just grew up playing it.
Were you always a forward? Or
Yeah. I tried actually goalie once because I loved Carey Price. And he's like, "You're not a goalie. You're not going to be a goalie." And I was like, okay, whatever. And I actually played one game in house league and got lit up. I cried and I never wanted to play again.
That was your last time in the net?
Goalie.
First and last time?
Yeah. Street hockey, I'm all right though.
How many shots did you face that day? Do you remember? Like save percentage, just not too
I maybe saved 2 shots.
Okay.
They lit me up.
All right. Forward all the way.
Yeah.
So you idolize Carey Price. So obviously you're a Habs fan growing up in Ontario. How was that?
Leafs household, whole entire family. And I was a Leafs fan growing up. And then I think I was about like 6 or 7 years old. I was young. And the Leafs played it back-to-back against the Habs. And they lost both games. And I was like, I hate this team. I'm done. I'm going to like Montreal. My dad laughed. I was like, oh, is it funny? And then just stuck with the Habs ever since.
Can you imagine the frustration that you would feel if you had stuck with the Leafs?
I know. I kind of saved myself there.
Yeah.
They're looking good right now, but we'll see if playoff time comes.
Yeah, no, we definitely will. So now going forward in your career in professional hockey, you played 4 seasons in the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League. Talk to me about your time there. How did it help your development and, for you to get to the next stage?
Yeah, so it's a junior B league, but it was rated higher than like the OJ, my first year, which is a junior A league there, it's a really good league, I'd say, in junior B. I don't know about it now, to be honest, but back then it was good. Like all these OHL draft picks, they would play 1 year there, or they'd come down if they were a 20-year-old and they didn't think they were going to go far. They'd play junior B, get some pay or whatever. So it was a good league. I billeted my first year in Pelham, and then I came back, and that was like a big learning curve too, because I came from like AAA, and I was just like, oh, it's junior, whatever. It was way harder hitting, everything like that. Obviously not to the level here now, but it's good. I had some good teammates, good coaches, helped me learn.
You played for a few teams in that league, but most notably the St. George Ravens. You were an alternate captain, and you had your best statistical season there. What led to your success with that club?
So I needed a shot, really. I think to be the top guy, and I was just not there yet. But when I was the 2020 season, that was my 20-year-old year. That got cut short, but we played exhibition games, and I was shooting a lot more and scoring a lot more. So I think my confidence really kicked in there. And training off season, I trained a lot. And going into that one, I was like, well, give it all you have. And then I had my buddy Brody there, and we were just like working back and forth together, pass the puck like all over the ice. It was pretty fun.
And then what led to your decision to head to the FPHL shortly thereafter?
So I had no idea about any of those leagues, SP, anything. I knew about the Coast, AHL, and NHL, obviously, in Europe.
Right.
And I thought my path was going to be Europe. And my coach at St. George was like, why don't you try like the SPA? You can easily make that. And so I went to Huntsville's camp, their free agent camp. What a money grab that was. It was just all kinds of talent level, like beer league people just saying, hey, we're going to come out for a day. And I got a shot to make the main camp out of that, which was good. And I thought I played really well and like could have made the team, like top 6. And I didn't end up making it. Like they had guys, a lot of returners and everything. So I got cut there, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? And then I had a phone call with Binghamton in the FPHL and Danbury. And they're both like, we really want you. And Binghamton, what sold me was like, they have AHL rank. And they were like, we'll give you first line this, first line that. And went there, played 3 games. I maybe played 6 shifts. I got a fight, and that was it. And I was like, okay, like, I'm not staying here anymore. I asked for my release. Wild story about that. And then I went home, and I was like, am I done hockey? Like, I don't even know if I belong in this. Like, I don't like it. Danbury called with a guy who went to Huntsville because he was trying to get me there too. And he's like, just come. And their coach, Billy McCreary, he's in Kalamazoo right now.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, we'll give you a shot. So I was like, hey, that's all I asked for. And worked my way up from 10th forward to first line. Had a good year there. And I was probably the closest team I've ever been through. And everyone was just for each other. And we lived in a hotel, double bedroom. Everyone was beside each other, so we'd constantly hang out. It was really fun. You made like $100 a week. And we were just there for hockey. We loved it. Ended up having a good year. OT winner. We were down reverse sweep and then playoff MVP. It was pretty good.
Yeah. So seems like an amazing story. So tell me more about that playoff run. I mean, you had 13 points in 10 games. So talk to me about what went well there.
Yeah. So we played Elmira first, and we beat them all year. So we were confident in everything. But like each time we played them, it was best 2 to 3, I think, this first series. And what was it? Yeah, they scored first, I think, both games. And like we weren't worried at all. And we just came back, steamrolled them. Mm-hmm. And I had a good line. We worked well together, and we were just putting up points.
I want to work back to what you said about when things had not worked out in Binghamton with the Black Bears with you, and you kind of had a decision to make on where you were going to go. How kind of close were you to
quitting?
Hanging up the skates? Yeah.
Yeah, I was close. I was at home for a week and a half. And as soon as I asked for my release, I was expecting, okay, well, these guys will take me. Like I just came from SB camp.
Right.
And they didn't. They're like, oh, we're full right now. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell? So I was just back to training. And then I was just like sitting at home on my phone, like watching some of these games. Like I can easily play in this league. It's not a problem. Just need someone to give me a shot. And then I got that text, packed up everything as quickly as I can, drove down. And it was stressful because I was like, well, I don't want to quit, but like, should I? Is it worth it? And everything happens for a reason.
Just goes to show you don't give up on your dreams. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you make the jump from the FPHL to the ECHL. What was that process like before the beginning of last year? How did Nezzy get in contact with you before training camp? How did that all go down?
So I knew I wanted an East Coast camp regardless. I was training with this guy, Matt Carey, at that time. And I felt good. I was training with Coast guys, AHL guys, and NHL guys all summer. And I felt good, confident. And then I signed with Macon, and the coach there, Nieder, he was like, I'll get you a camp if you sign with me. I was like, that's all I want. And like, that was my selling point to like the SB team. I was like, if you get me a Coast camp, I'll sign with you. He's like, yeah, I'll get you one for sure. I know Nezzy. And then it was like October 6th or something. I was still working like construction right before camp. And I was like stressed. I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to the SB. Mm-hmm. And he called me. He's like, yeah, like I saw some of your goals. Like, and the first thing he said was that first one of the finals. I got to that game. In the game 7. And he was like, that was a bad rebound, but good for you putting it away. And I laughed and I was like, okay, yeah. He's like, yeah, just come down and we'll see how you do or whatever. And obviously did well enough, made the team, and it's history from there. So
going back to last year, how would you assess your first year as a pro and learning under head coach Derek Nesbitt in his first year?
Yeah. Nezzy's great. He was hands-on and he helped me a lot, like with the transition too. I think I did pretty well. End up near the end of like around this time too last year, like I started heating up, I found, and really finding a stride. It's a lot different because of the games. Like you can like think a weekend, maybe you're just having a weekend that's off or not a good one. And it's like, well, next thing you know, it's the end of the month. Like 15 games just passed. You're like, oh, well, I didn't play very well there. Haven't put up anything. And like the highs and lows for sure are a lot. Like last year, like going pointless for a bit or whatever. And you're like, what am I doing here? Like, how am I even doing anything? Then you're like, oh, am I going to get dished? Am I going to get traded, dropped? And you just think about all those things. And Nezzy was really good with helping me out with that. He's like, just don't worry about it. Just play hockey. Like, you're here for a reason. They're going to come if you play the right way.
Right. And it seems like the team kind of found their way towards the end there, and you did as a result too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We were really close too last year, which sucks that we weren't that good. Well, we were good, I'd say. We just didn't win games. It was like a tough season because
there were a lot of factors that attributed to what went down.
Yeah, yeah.
So
we had a really good group of guys and a good amount of returners this year too that we're all close with.
Right, 100%. Well, moving along to this season, you're playing on a line alongside Easton Armstrong, who's a first-year pro, and Connor Galloway, the Sugar Hill, Georgia native. What's that been like? Because you guys are buzzing every single time you're on the ice. So.
Yeah. We play really well on their end. We get pucks in a lot there, and I like Army. He's a good guy. He's funny too. Joke around. Everyone says that we're like each other. I don't.
Kind of are.
Yeah.
I review all the social media clips that our lovely interns get, and
yeah,
you guys are at the top of the laughing board there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I agree. Like he gets good laughs too. Yeah. I'd say I like him a lot. I really do. He's a good kid, and he's got a good shot. Really good shot. So I like playing with him a lot.
100%. Well, you've quickly become a fan favorite in Atlanta with your clutch goals and your fights, as you mentioned. What does the support of the fans here night after night mean to you?
Oh, it's everything. It's crazy. Like going into that building, and whenever it's packed or even not, like you can hear how loud it is. Like,
yep.
My family, friends, girlfriend even were like, oh my God, like it was so loud in there. I was like, yeah, it wasn't even packed or anything. It's crazy. It's awesome. And it means everything. It helps like get up for those 3-3 games. And you're like, oh, okay, at least we got the fans. They're here. They're loud. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how I've actually felt the last few games because, I got the headset on. I'm able to hear everything, at a different level. And, I look at the crowd and it's like, all right, 4,500, 5,000, but 4,500, 5,000 that are there are loud.
Yeah.
And we've been scoring a good amount of goals recently. So,
mm-hmm.
Good reason for them to get pumped up on a nightly basis.
Yeah, for sure.
So sticking with Atlanta, a quick question for you. What's your thoughts on the Atlanta area? Least favorite part and your favorite part of living here and in the surrounding area?
Least favorite, the traffic. It kind of reminds me of back home in Toronto. I did the highways, but I love everything. Or actually, you know what? Least favorite, Costco.
Costco.
It is a zoo in there. It's a nightmare. I get a fever dream every time I'm in there.
When we stop on the road at Buc-ee's, you must be. What goes to your mind? I don't like Costco.
I love
Buc-ee's
Costco.
Must be a nightmare.
I love Costco.
Oh, you love Costco. That's your favorite part.
Yeah. No, I know. I don't like how many people are in there because I'm like,
yeah.
Like hitting everyone every time I walk around. But Buc-ee's, I'm usually too tired. I'm always waking up from a nap. I don't even see. I'm just walk into the washroom, get some drink or whatever, and then go back in there. Favorite part? It's hard to pick one. I love the food. I love the food. And I think it's a really nice looking area too, aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, especially downtown. Well, I asked you your least favorite part because I had a hunch that you were going to mention something about driving. Last year, we had a TikTok clip that went viral where our interns asked who was the worst driver on the team. I'm not going to lie to you, Marshy. 90% of the team last year said it was you.
I know.
You have a chance to respond now.
Yeah, thank God. My girlfriend too. All my friends say I'm a terrible driver, and it bothers me because I'm actually really good. You guys can set up GoPros in my car. Watch me drive. I'm a great driver. I am. I got my first ticket this summer though.
Did you? Take us through it.
Red light camera. It was in Toronto. It's also nightmare traffic. I was going to see my aunt after a skate, and it was yellow, but on the speed camera or whatever, the red light camera, it showed my tire like just behind the line, right when it turned red, and dinged me up for $300.
$300.
First ticket too. Yeah.
$300 Canadian. When were you going?
Probably like $50 American.
Yeah, right. Were you going slow at least? Because if it's a yellow light, right, you just go slow. But right as it turned red, just the backside of your tire just was there and got detected. So
no, I was trying to make the light, so I was probably speeding up a bit, but it was the fact that I was behind the line when it was red. So, all right, yeah.
Well, back to hockey. I recently asked you about you dropping the gloves, not only this year, but last year. Mm-hmm. Not exactly a quote unquote enforcer on this year's team. How do you feel about kind of embracing that role when the situation warrants it on the ice this year?
Yeah, I don't call myself a fighter by any means. I don't think that's who I am. I think I'm just a old fashioned power forward, and like you can do it all. Like I can score goals, assist, hit, and fight when I need to, especially when someone gets hurt. Like Cranny stuck up for me in Jacksonville. I think that's what it's all about. You got to stick up for your teammates at the right time or in the right moment. Like we're down, whatever, 4-1 or whatever, and we're in it. Like maybe you need a fight, go for it.
Well, Marshy, when you drop the gloves, the fights aren't necessarily long.
No,
They're short. It's usually one punch and they're out. What's your strategy? Are you just trying to rear back, get as much force on it as possible, or what's your mindset in those moments?
Yeah, so I took a lot of MMA growing up.
Okay.
But just a couple times actually in school, I got suspended for fighting. My mom was just getting on my case or whatever, but it's not like I'm looking for anything. I just stick up for myself or stick up for people that I like or love.
Right.
And so my dad put me into MMA, teach me a couple things. And my uncle is actually a fighter in the OHL. So he's showed me a couple things too. And honestly, whenever the gloves drop, it's just you black out. It's just like instincts. Actually, another person who's helped me a lot is Daniel Amesbury on Kansas City. He was in Danbury.
Former
with me.
Teammate of yours.
Yeah. So he taught me a lot. And there's actually this one practice, he brought out MMA gloves. He's like, I want you to hit me as hard as you can. And I was like, no, man, I'm not going to hit you as hard as you can. Like, he's like, no, I want you to. And so we were just going back and forth or whatever. And he taught me a lot of moves too that help. If I get in a certain situation, like the way our bodies are positioned, and sometimes you want to lean them away, turn a certain way so that they can't reach you. But like for the most part, I just want to punch them as hard as I can, put them out, put them down at least.
There were a couple. I know there was one in Jacksonville, you against Connor Russell, right? And then one in Greenville, you against Modry last year. So definitely bouts I will never forget. Going back to the team overall, obviously it was just a little bit of a struggle last year. What was the team's overall mindset coming into training camp? Was there a little bit of a chip on your shoulder for the players returning and coming back, just wanting to have a better year? And subsequently, you guys have done that as we approach the halfway mark. So can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. Nezzy was very vocal in the summer. Like he'd call me once every 2 weeks, maybe like sometimes or during the playoffs and just like, hey, like, look at this, like, see this one, we're going to do something similar to this. And like, I think the difference is too, like, we have a huge chip on our shoulder. Like no one wants to go through that. It was miserable.
Yeah.
But we knew how good we are and how good we can be. And Nezzy and Ginner have just laid it out flat. Like, so that last year there was a couple questions here and there, maybe like, oh, what if we're in this situation? Every situation you can think of in the D zone, O zone, anything, like they have it answered for you and you know what to do. So I think that really helps a lot too as a player. Like no matter what, like when your brain goes and you're tired, you're like, where do I go? And you're like, oh, it's automatic. I know where I'm going.
Wow. Love that. So you mentioned Ginner. What has his impact been since he's come to the team?
Great. Right. Like the first in training camp, actually, because I was suspended from last year.
Right.
He's like, you might not be where you want to be on the lineup, but don't worry about it. Like, we're just trying to fit out roles right now. And you're a huge part of the team. Like, and that's such a huge feeling. Like when I know I do, like maybe other players don't, but I can get in my head pretty easily sometimes. And like something like that, like just that little bit of reassurance is massive. And he's great on the PK. Like just like Nezzy, like it'll lay it out flat. And they have a good way of reaching the players.
Well, I know that I'm not a head coach, but just watching the team's turnaround, the line of you, Army, and Gallo and Connor have been just a huge impact. Just at even strength, you guys have been awesome. So
thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing, and glad to see that the coaches have had an impact in that as well. So coming into the midway point of the season, obviously, team playing the best hockey of the year. What do you guys have to do to continue it, and hopefully stay in the mix for a playoff run as we come towards the end of the year?
Stay together, stick to our systems, as blatant and boring as it sounds. We're the best 5-on-5 team, I think, in the division when we're playing at our systems. And our power play is looking really good now, too. It's heating up. Penalty kill is always good. So just stick to the same stuff that's been working.
South Carolina coming in on Friday. What makes them tough to play against?
They're a really skilled team. They're hard, too, to play against. Kind of like Norfolk. They hit a lot. Rough team. They're really skilled. They got some veterans on there and some skilled guys like that Megara. He's good.
Austin Megara, Sewanee native.
Yeah. We just shut him down. play our game. Like whenever we're below the dots in the ozone, like no team can hang with us. So
Right.
I think that's going to be a focus point and attack the net.
Right, certainly. Cody Sylvester notches his 500th point in his professional career as a winger that plays on the left side, just like Cody. Talk to me about what it's like having him just as a veteran presence, someone who's been around the league, not just here in North America, but out in Europe as well, and reaching such an achievement like that. What kind of influence has he been on you? And just talk to me about his impact on the group overall as alternate captain.
Yeah. So like even last year, the first thing I asked him was like, so what can I do to score goals here? It's like, just hang around the net, be around the net, and just be hungry and ready. Great guy. And he helps out everyone. It's amazing to watch him. And like, you'll see moves that he does in practice or even in the game. You're like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Like, I didn't think you can even think that while you're getting the puck or whatever. So it makes you think of like other plays you can do too, or you can implement that in your game somehow and like try and do what he does, but not on his level, obviously. And it's crazy that he has that many points. It's impressive.
Eric Neely comes back after a year of retirement serving as an assistant coach. What has he meant to the locker room? Because last year, we talk about that there were a multitude of reasons as to why the Gladiators only had 23 wins at the end of the last season. How does Eric Neely help to change that? Just his presence in the room.
He's a dog. He puts up so many points too. And you're like, oh my God, he had 4 points tonight.
Right.
He scores, he hits, and he even fights. When he fought one of the biggest guys in Orlando, like that guy's massive.
Jabril Touré.
Yeah, and he held his own, like he really well. Like he's not afraid of anything. And he takes a beating, and you see him. He's just always trying to get better. He's working. He's here with us. And it's inspiring to see that. Like he takes a hit, gets up. Maybe he's cut, bleeding. He's back out there, just fighting for us.
And does that motivate you as a younger player,
Mm-hmm.
Especially when the club's down and you see Niels going out there, putting his body on the line, taking a big hit to make a defensive play, to prevent a goal?
For sure it does. Yeah. He leads by example, and it makes you want to do the exact same, go through a wall for him.
2 more questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
The goaltenders, Ethan Hyder and Drew DeRitter. Hyde's, of course, first-year pro, and Drew DeRitter, first year with the Gladiators. How does it feel as a forward to know that night in and night out you have a goaltender that's going to give you a chance to win?
Oh, it's so massive, and I feel like I haven't had that in a while. Obviously, we had good goalies last year. We did. But, like, they stand on their head. They make unbelievable saves, and every night, like, they'll bail us out. Right. Like, they'll backdoor play. They'll make a save. And they're really good too. And it's good to shoot on them and try and score on them too. So when you do, you're like, okay, this is like top goalie. So I can do this in game too. But they have our back, and that helps us play so much more freely.
Marshy, I ask every single guest on the Atlanta Gladiators podcast this question.
Mm-hmm.
A super interesting fact about you, and not your Fortnite skills. I'm going to ask you about that after.
Terrible.
So a super interesting fact about you that fans may not know, or even teammates may not know.
Put me on the spot. They know I'm an all-American Canadian athlete. There's no sport I'm not bad at, but I tell them that every single day. And they're like, no, you're not, whatever. We just go back and forth. I'm like, okay, we'll go to the basketball court. We'll go here. We'll go there. Super interesting fact.
For example, Tyler Harmon and Alex Whalen said that they love to do puzzles together.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting. Yeah, I knew they did that actually last year.
I think Zach Yoder mentioned something about XRP.
Yeah, I'm in that now.
He talks a lot. You are really.
Yeah, he got me in, and it's gonna skyrocket. That's all my TikTok is now, is just XRP stuff. It's funny.
Okay.
I'd say I built a dock.
You built a dock?
Yeah, at my cottage.
Before we end here, tell me about it.
Yeah, so bunch of wood. My granddad would buy it, and he's just like, yeah, this is how you do it. Had a couple buddies up. They tapped out like an hour or two in, and then it was just me and this one other buddy, my buddy Brody, and we just built it. And that's a memory that I'll have forever. It was with him. He was in the water too. He's like 70-something at the time. Stubborn. Wouldn't leave the water, but he was just teaching me how to do it, and it's a good lesson to learn.
Where was that? Was that in Burlington?
No, so that's in this place called Kawartha Lakes. It's like 30 minutes from Peterborough, where Berkey's from last year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I was going to invite Berkey up and then Cranny, but it never came to fruition. Cranny, we're going back and forth every time. I'm like, I invited you. He's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. I'm like, yeah. So it's an ongoing joke.
And Berkey's got some other stuff going on in Wichita. Wish him all the best with the Thunder.
Yeah, exactly.
San Jose's organization. Well, Michael Marchesan, thank you for joining me on episode 59 of the Atlanta Gladiators podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening and watching this episode of the Atlanta Gladiators podcast. As a reminder, you can find the Atlanta Gladiators podcast on YouTube. We'd also like to extend our heartfelt appreciation to our wonderful partners at Business RadioX for hosting us. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and as always, go Glads.